All right, so on today's edition of Serio Cooks, we're going to do my version of the Columbia restaurant's famous Spanish bean soup. First thing I want to do is I've got some bacon that I've already run through the food processor to get it nice and chopped up and ready to go in the pan. And then when that's ready, I'll add onions. So hang on here, and here we go. All right, this is not in the official instructions, but it's the way I do it, and that's what counts. I take the bacon and I put it in my little mini KitchenAid food processor and chop it all up so that it's the right size, the same size, and it fries up nice and quickly and evenly. And in just a couple of moments, we're going to add the onion that I've already chopped up with the mandolin. I'm going to add that to this as well. All right, so on today's edition of Serio Cooks, we're going to do my version of the Columbia restaurant's famous Spanish bean soup. First thing I want to do is I've got some bacon that I've already run through the food processor to get it nice and chopped up and ready to go in the pan. And then when that's ready, I'll add onions. So hang on here, and here we go. All right, so my bacon is sitting here sauteing. Turn the heat down just a little bit. And in just a couple of moments, we'll add the onion to this. I wanted to do the bacon first, that way the onion is sauteed in the bacon grease. Okay, so there you go. The onions are now sauteing with the bacon slowly. I've lowered the temperature even more. I just want that onion to sweat at this point and just brown just a little bit before it goes into the crock pot with the bacon for my own version of Spanish bean soup. Now, the onion I ran through what's called a mandolin, and the mandolin is this very, very ancient device that just slices and cuts whatever you put through it. You've got to be really careful that you don't wind up with a finger in whatever you're cooking. All right, just for informational purposes, I'm using Greenfield Natural Meat Company's no antibiotics and growth hormones, humanely raised, 100% vegetarian-fed, gluten-free, applewood smoked bacon. Just to answer a question why I run the bacon through the little mini food processor first, as opposed to just frying it up and then crumbling it, I think you get more bacon out of the whole deal here. And especially for what I'm doing with the soup, I want as many little pieces as possible. And this seemed like it was the best way to do so. All right, as you can tell, it's 20 minutes after 4. 4:20, man. I've got to get dinner going here and get this, get these beans in the crock pot. Now, the original recipe for the Spanish bean soup calls for you to put the dry beans in water, let them soak overnight. I don't have time for that. Dinner's got to be ready by 6. Okay, it's time to start putting all this together. First, I'm going to put my bacon onion mixture down on the bottom, layered with on top by the beans, and then I've got some special sausage we're going to add to this whole mix. Bacon and onion mix is on the bottom of the crock pot, closest to the cooking elements, because I want them to continue to saute just a little bit during the course of, soup making. And so that's why we put it on the bottom. Now let's add the beans on top. That's 2 cans of Whole Foods, 3 organic cannellini beans. The original recipe called for chorizo, thinly sliced. I'm going to do something a little different. I've got Blinsky's organic Cajun style andouille, which once this cooks up is going to release all that extra flavor into my soup, and it doesn't have all the oil, that greasy red oil that comes off of the chorizo. All right, there you see all the ingredients inside my crock pot. Next step is to add stock to it. Now, the original recipe calls for 2 cups of cold water, and then what they're using is a ham bone and a beef bone to kind of make its own stock. Yeah, that would be great if you have the time to do it, but in my case, I'm adding a couple of cups of water with Better Than Bouillon organic chicken stock. And what is this stuff? Made with seasoned roasted chicken, and it's organic, and we're just going to add that right to this. And there we go. All right, I'm going to add just a little more liquid to it and then put the lid on it, and this thing is ready to start cooking in the crock pot. All right, so I've added a little extra stock to it. The original recipe calls for a half teaspoon of paprika, so we'll put that in there. And also a pinch of saffron. So we'll put the little saffron in there as well. All right, next step is to put the lid on it and just let this cook. There you see I've stirred the stock up just lightly on the top because I don't want to disturb everything on the bottom the way that I layered it. Okay, so there you go. Put it all together in about 5 minutes, and we're just going to let this sit in the crock pot for the next hour and a half. All right, cover's on it, and I can already see some steam starting to form there. One last thing that needs to be done, and that is to add potatoes to it. But I'm not going to do that until there's about 45 minutes left because I don't want those potatoes to get too soft. All right, with about 35 minutes to go, I've added my potatoes to this. I kind of cheated because of the time aspect of this and wanting to get this done. So I cooked the potatoes kind of separately, chopped them up nicely and boiled them separately, and then just added it to the soup in about 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the very most. This will be ready for dinner. All right, there you go. One final look, my version of the Columbia restaurant's famous Spanish bean soup. You can see the andouille sausage and the big chunks of potato, and of course the cannellini beans in there. That's it for this edition of Serio Cooks. We'll see you next time. Now let's eat.